It's a very quiet, respectful moment for the family as their loved ones finally come home. And the three individuals that lost their lives you see here, Sergeant Kennedy Sanders, Sergeant Breonna Moffett, and also Sergeant William Rivers, just to tell you a little bit about them. And I don't know if we want to show even the moments within the last 20 minutes or so where, there we go, thank you so much, where you see, you can actually see one of the cases draped with the American flag. And just to tell you a little bit about these three, Moffett had just turned 23. It was 9 days before Moffett's 23rd birthday that she was killed. She had joined the Army Reserves in 2019, but also worked for a home care provider to cook, clean, and run errands for people with disabilities. And then we also told you about Sanders, 24 years old, worked at a pharmacy while studying to become an X-ray technician, also coached children's soccer and basketball. She had volunteered for the deployment because she wanted to see different parts of the world. That's what her parents had told us. And then finally, Sergeant Rivers that you see there, the third picture on your screen. He was 46 years old. He went by Jerome. He joined the Army Reserve in New Jersey in 2001 and served a 9-month tour in Iraq in 2018. Again, Biden didn't speak, the First Lady didn't speak, the Defense Secretary nor the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs didn't speak. When a dignified transfer happens, it's a very mournful ritual, and it's not a common thing. We don't see this very often. As the U.S. withdrew from conflicts abroad, most notably the war in Afghanistan, that war that lasted 2 decades, we haven't witnessed dignified transfers like this. I can remember the war in Iraq. I'll never forget the first time we carried one of the dignified transfers live, and it was heartbreaking because it was many more members of our military that came home that one day that I remember in particular. Today, it was 3 of our service members that were over there in Amman, Jordan, when that drone killed them as they were based there at Tower 22. For more, let's bring in our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce. She's at the White House, also our senior national policy reporter, and Flaherty at the Pentagon. Mary, these are never easy to talk about, to witness, but I love the respect that they pay just to the families. It's very private, even though we are getting a little bit of a glimpse into the reality of what happens in areas of conflict. And we can see now those 3 heroes being carried through as the President, the First Lady, and our leaders within the military pay their final respects as they come home. It is solemn to watch, indeed, Mary.
It's hard to watch, and quite frankly, you can, I think, see the weight of this moment, the grief there on the President's face, on the face of the First Lady. Look, this is, without a doubt, one of the hardest and, frankly, most gut-wrenching things that a president does. We know he spent, we believe, roughly an hour earlier today speaking with the families of the fallen. He spoke with them by phone earlier in the week, essentially asking their permission to attend this today, to allow us to see a portion of this. And certainly Joe Biden is someone who is familiar, unfortunately, with grief. You know, we heard him referencing that when we got to see a glimmer of the phone call that he had with Specialist Kennedy Sanders' family when the president was on the phone with them, informing them that they were, you know, posthumously promoting her to sergeant and offering his condolences. And the president then referencing, you know, obviously he knows what it's like to have a child serve. His son served in Iraq, and he also knows what it's like to lose a child, although obviously under very different circumstances. And I think you just see the weight of this. I mean, and you have to remember all of this comes as the president is very much weighing what comes next in this fight, how to respond to these relentless attacks by Iranian-backed militants. You know, we and the world are watching to see how he will respond. We have been braced and told that it will likely, you know, play out in multiple stages over multiple days, multiple strikes. But, you know, you have to think that this is what weighs on the president when he considers these kinds of decisions. This is the real consequence of the decisions, that he makes going forward. And so I think you can only imagine what's going through his mind right now. But first and foremost, he is there as commander-in-chief. He is there as consoler-in-chief. He is there to, support these families and, of course, to send a message of support on behalf of the entire nation.
And it's a risky move, what the president is considering here. He says, indeed, they will retaliate, but will that retaliation trigger a deeper and more deadly war with Iran and its proxies? I mean, it's a fine line here, Mary, and we even heard National Security Council spokesman John Kirby say at the beginning of the week that we don't want a wider war with Iran. We don't want a wider war in the region, but we've got to do what we have to do. And so the world awaits as to exactly what the president is going to do. There were talks. It wasn't off the table. There could be an attack inside Iran. Now the discussion is, will it be surgical strikes against just Iranian-linked assets outside of Iran? We still don't exactly know what's going to happen, but there are a lot of options on the table.
Yeah, and look, this is exactly what this administration, what this president has feared since October, since the Hamas attack in October, and since we started seeing all of these relentless attacks by these Iranian-backed militants. There have been more than 150 of these attacks. And now we have seen, of course, unfortunately, that 3 Americans have died, more than 40 Americans wounded in this drone strike in Amman, Jordan. And the challenge before the president, and yes, you are absolutely right, they have not ruled out that they could possibly strike inside of Iran, though we are told the president has deep misgivings about that, because what he is faced with is how to stop these attacks, how to finally send a message that these Iranian-backed militants have to stop these attacks without starting another war, without escalating this even further. And it is something that this administration has been deeply concerned about since the moment that this initial conflict started, and now we are here. And what comes next, and whether what the president does, whether what he decides to pursue is going to be enough to stop this without escalating things further, that is the central question and the central fear, quite frankly, here at the White House.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.